Here I have a box and whisker plot showing the distribution of my test scores. So this box and whisker plot shows us what the smallest score is, 50, and what the biggest score is, 95. And then it shows us how our scores are spread between 50 and 95 by dividing those scores into 4 quartiles. There are 4 distinct sections of a box and whisker plot, and you can tell them by looking at the vertical lines. So you see, here's the line, here's a line, here's a line. There are 5 different measures. So let's talk about those sections that are divided by those 5 measures. The area from the smallest score to this first line, call this quartile 1. This is 25% of the data. This is a quarter of the data in this section. So I can say that 25% of my test scores are between 50 and 60. The next section goes from quarter 1 to quarter 2, or we also call this the median. So it's this section right here. This section also contains 25% of the data. So I can say that 25% of my test scores were between 60 and 70. The next section goes from quarter 2, or the median, we'll talk more about that in a minute, to quarter 3. And this section also includes 25% of the data. So I can say 25% of my scores were between 70 and about 85. And the last section is from here, which was at quarter 3, to here, the biggest number, our maximum. So this also contains 25% of the data. So I can say 25% of my test scores are between 85 and 95. So by being able to visualize these 4 distinct sections, these 4 quartiles, we can make these statements in analyzing this box and whisker plot. What other things can we pull out of this? Well, if each of these sections contains 25% of the data, then we can combine them together to make other statements. For example, how many of the scores, what percentage of my scores are within this pink area? Well, if it contains this 25% and this 25%, I can say that 50% of my test scores are below 70. And that's why we refer to this line in the box as the median, because this is the middle part. Below this red line is 25, and 25 is 50% of the data. And then above the red line is 25, and 25 is 50% of the data. So we call it the median. What if I wanted to make a statement that included this portion as well? What percent of my scores are below 90? All my students' test scores, what percentage of them scored below a 90? Not 50 anymore. It includes 3 of these 25% sections, 3 of these quartiles. So 75% of my test scores were below 90. So the box and whisker plot you might be presented with might not be as colorful as mine, but hopefully you can draw the lines yourself, see the cutoffs, and be able to make some conclusions and some sort of analysis, understanding that there are 4 sections, each section containing 25% of all of the data in that particular data set.